Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. And so today is a special episode of the Ugly Truth About Entrepreneurship, where we're going to be talking about secrets, cash flow, and more. So typically, we are virtual, but my special guest is none other than Mr. Phillip W. Grant, the one who gave me my last name, Grant, if you didn't get it. And so he's a full-time entrepreneur. He has many businesses. One of the ones that he really runs and operates is his photography company, PWG Lens. And so today we're going to dive into the backstory of being an entrepreneur. So this is Financial Literacy Month. And so we are really going to dive in because we want to educate, right? One of the biggest things that you can really do to build wealth is educate yourself. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to pick his brain. So, Mr. Grant, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming or agreeing to be a part of this. And so I just want you to start off by telling our guests a little bit about yourself and how you got to this point of entrepreneurship.
All right. So, I said it before, my name is Philip, the founder and CEO of PWG Lens. I'm originally from Jamaica. I'm married to Dr. Grant right here, who has been hosting this great platform that is, I would say, it's well needed, and just to kind of share the knowledge just about entrepreneurship in itself. Um, as stated before, I'm founder and CEO of PWG Lens, which is a full service photography and videography service operating here in Atlanta, specializing in array of photography and videography service, including corporate events, corporate headshots, weddings, and also a variety of other services. So definitely, I am definitely here to share as much knowledge as I can as it relates to entrepreneurship, the journey, the ups, the downs, and just everything that entails and encapsulates, what being an entrepreneur looks like, and what you should also look for as well.
All right, awesome, awesome. Thank you for that. So tell us, how did you get to this point of entrepreneurship where you're now full time in the business?
So for me, it has been I would say a journey, a road that started pretty much from a young age. I would say a tender age, just falling into the hobby of with it where the media, where being in creative media space is concerned, as it would be considered in this day and age.
Mhm.
While growing up, I remember that my dad, who always takes me to different functions,
Mhm.
right? And whenever I take him to these functions, I'm always the one to do, his photography, and videography, taking videos and photos of him, wherever I go or wherever he goes. So even from that point on, that has pretty much been something that has been, I guess you'd consider to be birth within me. And from there, it just steadily just grew, yes, into an hobby, kind of understanding just photography from, just the base level.
Mhm.
For some people, they probably would even remember some disposable cameras that actually uses film. That's essentially where, that was my starting point.
Mhm.
And then pretty much just grew from that. When even just just the historical background of and knowledge of pretty much gaining all that I could, just unknowingly where exactly it was basically taking me pretty much up until this date.
Mhm.
So it took just it becoming a hobby till pretty much then now, going into college. It was still pretty much a hobby at that point in time. I remember, just when I usually attend Georgia State, I would pretty much be, just having my camera wherever I go, to different events and just pretty much just taking just different photos of, just different things, different people. And it just grew from there. And, there were different ventures that came.
How about now? Can you guys hear us? Can we get a drop in the comment if you can hear us? Yes, perfect. Okay, so we'll just continue this way.
What happened?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. The mic was off. That's what happened. So, all right. So, Mr. Grant was giving us a rundown of his journey to entrepreneurship. So it started with him when he was going to his different activities or different functions with his dad. He had to be the camera, he had to be all of that good stuff. And he started his, also had Press Tech Solutions. So he had a journey to entrepreneurship. And so right now, someone said, repeat everything that you just said. Well, he said quite a bit. So now, right now, what we want to ask is, well, at what point, right? At what point did you determine, right, that you wanted to go to entrepreneurship full time? Like, what was that point for you?
It was at the point, uh, pretty much where I was pretty much in corporate, um, even before going into corporate. So while at Georgia State, uh, as I said before, as I stated earlier, for those probably who did not hear, there was the entrepreneurial spirit that was pretty much birthed from a tender age. And with that, for me, I realized that there's way more to, I would say, supposedly to life, in terms of just the standard way of living, the standard way of earning. Typically, what we continue to just kind of, I would say, put our mindset in, just a little small box in terms of our trying to maximize our full potential. And I realized that, as I went through different stages at Georgia State, I was working there as a IT professional. And while working there as an IT professional, I realized that, you had quite a few um, of coworkers that was there at the point in time that I realized that they were in that field, that area of field, for an extensive period of time. And then realizing that, I'm saying to myself that, this cannot be it. This cannot be something that, you'd essentially want to, just see yourself throughout the remainder of your years. Really not
Right.
maximizing your full potential, not allowing yourself to use your pretty much God-given ability, the talents, and the skill set that God, that I firmly believe that God gives us to make use of. So, in realizing that, I just kind of decided that, I would still kind of be more proactive in terms of researching and looking at different ways in terms of, how is it that, I can maximize my skill set, maximize the full potential as best as I possibly can. And as I went through, again, just different series, I realized that, going through this, the work, the career, the typical career, journey, that, it was not necessarily, that wasn't for me specifically. Because one of the drawbacks with it is that, you realize the level of flexibility that you have, not just personally, but just from a business perspective and just from an earnings perspective, it's pretty much capped.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily go beyond a certain point.
Yeah.
And if you do try to go beyond a certain point, it takes, an exceptional amount of time for you to actually get there.
Yeah.
That's if you get there.
If
So that's one of the things that I started to take into consideration, start to look at, and realize that, yeah, this doesn't really make as much sense as, it would look or think. And started to aggressively look on certain things. One of the key things that kind of even propelled and pushed forward was more so even, having a family. That for me was a key deciding factor in terms of, going to full entrepreneurship. In terms of, one of the key things is, you wanting to leave a legacy, wanting to build and to leave a legacy,
Right.
for those who are behind you, and for them to see and appreciate, just what building something from the ground up looks like, and just gaining that type of, just knowledge, and just overall background to that. So, in having a family, in pretty much, our two sons, Gabriel and Daniel, right, realizing that, if I wanted to be there for them, not just, just financially, but just as a father, just as a mentor, just as someone that they can, be able to share just different, life experiences, expectations, and just, just a plethora of experiences that they can gain. It's something that I said that, it's one of the things that I want to be able to do for them. Not saying that you can't do it with, a typical 9 to 5. However, being in an entrepreneurial frame of mind or environment, your thinking is a lot more stretched. You're not confined. Your thinking is not confined. You have to think a lot more wider, a lot more critical as an entrepreneur. And that for me, just as I said before, propelled me to see that, okay, for my family,
Yeah.
is something that was one of the key parts to saying, okay, I want to be go further into being a full-time
Entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship.
So what I'm hearing is you wanted to spend more time with your family and you wanted to actually not be held down by a cap, right? Because if you're in a W-2, is what I call it, a W-2 job or a 9 to 5, right? You have a cap of how much you can possibly make. Not only make, but you talked about your brain being used and your intellect being expanded, right? But we usually wait to ask the questions, but the questions are flying in, Mr. Grant. So Bronx Bala 1020 says, did he express his career dissatisfaction with his wife? Whoa. Was she in support of his decision to drop his 9 to 5 and pursue entrepreneurship?
That's an interesting question, and funny enough, that question is a very appropriate question. What happened?
No, I'm listening. I'm listening to your
Right, it's a
response.
very appropriate question because I had a mentor just before I started, when I actually thought about or had the plan to say, I will pretty much go into that full-time entrepreneurial route. And the mentor at the time, one of the key things he focused on was to pretty much ensure that you speak to your wife, so that she could understand what is about to take place. So pretty much you'd have to have a full, you call it not necessarily a blueprint, but an outlay, an outline essentially about what is about to happen, the transition, what the transition will entail, right? So that she's able to pretty much have that frame of mind in advance, ahead of time, before that transition takes place, right? So he taught me that that's one of the first things that I have to do before, when I sat with him. That's basically on the first question that he essentially asked, or one, not even question, it was a homework that he said, go and sit with your wife, talk to your wife,
Okay.
tell her, show her, right, and make sure that she's essentially on pretty much the same page. So to answer the question, it wasn't a case whereby it was a dissatisfaction, but it was for her to understand that what is about to happen, in terms of, okay, you're placing your earnings, your full-time earnings, with the earnings that you're about to make as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and essentially what will come with it inevitably.
Yeah.
Right. And I would say that the support was there, but it was just the clarity that was needed. But with anything comes challenges, but it's just finding different ways to actually get through some of the challenges
Yeah.
that comes with it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good question there. And I can say, when he came to me, I'm a mathematician, so I have to, it was good that he had the calculations laid out to say, this is the plan and this is the expectations and this is what may or may not happen. Are you prepared? So for me, I'm a numbers girl. So if you can give me the numbers, I'm good. So I would like to think I'm supportive, Mr. Grant. I think I'm supportive.
I mean, I would say you are. As I said before, I'm not saying that you're not supportive. I'm just saying that the expectation, there's different expectation that each individual is gonna have, especially when it comes to a change that will affect just your overall, just the dynamics of your family, your lifestyle. It's gonna bring certain type of change that you and your spouse in general will have to basically be prepared for, in order to kind of have a smooth transition. Otherwise, you're going to just run through just the different obstacles, or it just becomes very tedious for even you as an entrepreneur, mentally as well, to pretty much just continue to thrive in the space that you are. So the support is key. So the support is definitely key.
Yeah. Yes, the support is key, and I was supportive, just to answer that part of the question. So, the questions are fine. So I'll ask one more. It says, did you decide what job you would start before quitting your job? Did you mean what entrepreneurship venture? Is that what you meant, Odane? So I'll let you put that in the chat when you get a minute. So in the meantime, right? So previously you were saying that the reason why you went full time was because you wanted, again, to spend more time with your family, right? And also not to be held down by a cap when you're in a job, as well as, intellectually you wanted to grow. So I want to know, piggybacking off of that, what are the pros and cons? Like, give me maybe two pros and cons for each. So if you have a full-time job for you, because it's different for different people, right? I know we had Shanice last week and she gave hers 2 cents. So I want you to give your thoughts, if you agree, or if you have something else, on what are the pros and cons of having that 9 to 5 versus of being a full-time entrepreneur.
The pros and cons of a 9 to 5 or typical job or typical work job.
Yeah.
The pros. So you want pros and cons for both?
Well, let's focus on the entrepreneurship part because I guess, in the interest of all the stuff that happened earlier, we want to keep our audience engaged. So maybe you can give us one pros and cons for the full-time job, but emphasizing the entrepreneurship part.
Okay, so I would say the pro in a 9 to 5 is just is a stability.
Right.
The stability of having an income that you know for a fact will more than likely be you can expect that at the end of the month or bi-weekly, whatever it may be.
If you're not fired, right, or given the pink slip.
Or yeah, whichever it may be, right?
Okay. Is it really stability? But go ahead.
But at the same time, it's a more guaranteed stability than
Okay.
because that's something that even if you're fired, that's still you're still probably even owed
Some money. Okay.
remittance or anything like that. So you're owed money, and the money, and you can expect that. That's the thing.
Okay.
So
Because you worked, so you're owed something.
right,
because of the
right,
work you did.
right, your
Okay.
remittance, right? So in that no, you are then no just have that comfort,
Okay.
that level of comfort to say, okay, yeah, this earning, this salary or this expected salary is coming in at the end of the month, and that's something that would basically be basically be dispensed to different expenses, the household bills that will constantly keep coming in. So you have that stable income,
Okay.
right, that will pretty much just help you to stay afloat and to just keep things level.
Okay.
Right. And it's not something that you have to pretty much kind of think about or to say, okay, is something coming in, is something not coming in.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Stability for the full-time job. Okay.
Right. The con, as I stated before, there's a cap for the most part. There's a cap that you pretty much have that going into an interview, right? And they say, this is the salary based on your experience, based on there's a level of experience, and your whatever skill sets or skill set that you have, right? This is the salary that we're pretty much offering you.
Yeah.
Right? You have the option to to counter that salary as well, to say, all right, I want X amount, X percentage more than what you're giving me, which is fine, right? So and that's one thing that to take away as well. If you're in a full-time job doing an interview, always know your value going into it as well.
Yeah.
To ensure that you get paid, you are paid what you're worth.
Negotiate.
Right? Negotiate.
Yeah.
Right? Don't just stop at what they have on the paper. Negotiate until you can come to a mutual salary that that's mutually agreeable. But anyways, so with that, then no, as I said before, you're capped, right? There's no going beyond that salary that they say, okay, I'm giving you this you're getting 20K, and that's it. And then from there you'd work in that corporate space or whichever workspace forever long, and it's hard to move up the ladder based on where you are. So you can be in that space for 10 years and your salary will still be at that point in time. So there's no scalability where your salary is concerned if you're within, especially that one job, right? I mean, you have the opportunity to, earn, make your earnings through other means, but within that job space, your salary is pretty much just capped at that point, and there's no moving from there, right? So based on that, it just gives you a little less leverage to basically have any financial freedom, right?
Say that again.
And you realize that it becomes, especially when you think about the earn income gap, in terms of so for example, what is it that, especially not just earning income, but the living expenses, right?
Oh yes.
So you talk about cost of living. So cost of living essentially goes up and your salary is capped. You're pretty much at a disadvantage because there's not much leverage that you can get. Chances are you may have to wait until the next review, for them to consider, and it's just a consideration to see if they will actually, increase your salary by whatever percentage, right? So that's some of the con. In terms of entrepreneurship, I would say it's equally almost the same. I would say it's kind of the flip. So with the pros for entrepreneurship, again, you have the flexibility to scale your business, right? But a lot comes with that though, right? So even though you have the flexibility to scale your business,
when you say scale, you mean make more money than
correct. So compared to the cap salary you have, which cannot be scaled from where it's at, within entrepreneurship you can scale to scale. If you say to yourself that your projected earnings or forecast is to make $20,000, right? Say for a quarterly review, you can make that $20,000 for the quarter, but then you can then also for the second quarter then exceed that $20,000, right? So compared to the 9 to 5 or a typical job, right? You have that scalability, you have that leverage to say, okay, you can make a route, you can make actual projections, sales forecasting to say, what is it, what are some of the ways though you can actually take to actually project or to actually scale beyond, whatever figure that you said that you were going to have per quarter, or per month or whichever it may be.
Okay. Right? Okay. Pretty good stuff. So essentially one of the big pros about entrepreneurship you're saying is you can scale, right? I remember last week Shani said you can make $100,000 in 1 month, right? And you can make that significantly more in many months. Or the downfall, if you want to say the con, is the next month you might not be doing so well. Now, as I said, the questions are flying. But before we get to the other questions, I do want to ask, for someone who wants to do, let's say, photography full-time, or entrepreneurship, you can speak to either. Talk about the cash flow, right? When I say the cash flow, money coming in, money going out, like your expenses. And I know you have a team that you work with, right? You have a team of people that you have to pay and equipment. And so talk to us about the cash flow expenses, such as paying a team and stuff like that.
So that's very critical to take into consideration for any entrepreneur. It's kind of just having that financial mindset, that accounting mindset, to pretty much know exactly how you're managing just your income. Right, and of course your expenses, making sure that you kind of have a particular profit margin that you're pretty much trying to stay within, just based on your expenses and your income as well.
So let me stop you there. When you say profit margin, you're saying after you break even with your expenses. So like for those of us who might not know these terms, when you say profit margin.
So it's basically your whatever you earn and based on whatever you also spend.
Okay.
Right? So you always want to make sure that you're operating within, anywhere between 15 to 25% profit margin, right? To basically know that you're actually making money.
You're making money.
You're actually
so
being profitable.
After you spend out all your money, you make 15% of whatever come in is profit.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Correct. Right. And just speaking to the overall just kind of just having that mindset to know exactly, know what is it that, it's pretty much in your in your accounts, knowing
Okay.
knowing your books
Knowing your books.
in and out, right? So what your expenses are, monthly. You make sure that your expenses aren't exceeding what's coming in, or your what's coming in.
Yeah.
Right. So you try to operate within just that framework, to try and best to be profitable, especially because one of the key things is that in a lot of business, a lot of entrepreneurs, what they don't know is that it takes a while for it to actually break even when you actually start a company. Right? It takes a little bit time for you to break even, meaning what you spent from the time you started that business up until this very point, from the beginning to this very point, right?
Okay.
So in order to kind of make that assessment or analyze just where when you're actually breaking even,
Okay.
right? It takes just meticulously monitoring just your spending, your business spending, your receivables, your account receivables, your payables, right? And pretty much not allowing yourself or allowing the business, right, to go into a point where you may be operating at a loss, and a significant loss, and a significant deficit. And if you operate at a deficit, it's then not going to be hard for the business to actually scale, for the business to actually grow. So good financial management is key, especially when then you have an actual team in itself, right? That you have to basically then dispense your funds to, for the work that they do, right? Then you have to take all of that into consideration, and making sure that you are able to actually spend that amount on say for example when you start to build a team, because you can build a team, but you want to make sure that you're not exceeding the expenses that you already projected, because you want to grow a team. It's good to grow a team, it's good to have a team, but you want to make sure that you're staying in alignment with just your earnings, what essentially is coming in, and the expenses that you also have, because all businesses have expenses, overheads that they have to basically take care of.
Oh yes.
Every month, every quarter.
Yes.
Right. So those are some of the key considerations that you definitely have to put into just the frame of mind, so you don't operate at a loss. Because there's a book that I've read, called Sell Like Crazy, right? And it talks about businesses that fail, the percentage of business that fail, right? And pretty much it basically says that the number of business that fail is pretty much over 96% of business fail within a 10-year period, right? And then it goes to say then another percentage fails within a 5-year period. So so one of the key things that my mentor at the point in time shared with me was just that fact, that it doesn't take nothing. It takes the simplest thing for a business to fail.
Wow.
So if you're going into entrepreneurship, you give yourself within 5 years time, right? Because 5 years is what is considered as that threshold to determine if your business is going to thrive or if it's going to fail.
Wow, that's a long time.
That is a long time. That's actually a very short time.
That's short, okay.
That's a very short time, because your business, 5 years of being in business, right? There's a lot that can happen within 5 years, right? And if you're not doing essentially, what's necessary to ensure that the business is essentially growing, just from a monetary standpoint, right? There's other factors that can determine what will make the business fail. However, mismanagement of your money, of the business
Yeah.
funds, of the business
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
will definitely put the business into an actual deficit. And not so well. Sometimes it would basically be hard for the business to
Come
actually
back.
come out of that deficit.
Wow, so that was a loaded answer though. Let me see if I can sum it up. So essentially, with the cash flow, when you're running a team, when you have a team and expenses, you want to make sure that you know your books, right? So you have to know your books and you have to aim to make 15% profit
Yes,
each month, or
15 to 20%.
okay,
15
15
to
to
20%.
20%. Thank you for the correction. Profits, right? And you want to make sure that you're not operating at a deficit, because then you don't want to fail. But what was very alerting was you said 90% of businesses or so fail in 10 years. First of all, 10 years seems like a very long time.
And as I remember, it's 95% or 95, 90%, but there's then no 80% of businesses that fail within the first 2 years.
Whoa.
So
So
when you take that into
stupid.
consideration, 80% of the business that actually gets started within the first 2 years of starting fail, right? So those are some of the things that even I myself had to consider, right, to ensure that I don't that my business will not get to that point at all. And you have to consider these things.
Wow. So okay, I have to come back to the questions because I see them coming in again. So I think Odin fixed the question. So since he had it up above, he said, Philip, when you were drawing your blueprint out in starting your business, how did you decide what field to go in? So before you answer, if this is good for you all, drop a fire comment or something in the comments for us. Feel free to ask questions. So we'll try to get to all the questions. But Odin wants to know, how did you decide what field you wanted to go in? So you did talk about having Prez Tech Solutions. I remember he didn't talk about this when he had Raw Fitness. Listen, Prez have a whole heap of businesses, for lack of better words. Okay, let me go back to English.
Right, and then also we have the Grand Coffee House, which
Grand Coffee House,
Yeah,
GND Enterprises. This man has a lot of businesses. Okay, so how did you decide though? That's a very good question. What field you wanted to go in?
I think I said it earlier in the previous questions, but
They couldn't hear us. Remember?
oh yeah, so but it was just a passion. It was just
Okay.
a passion.
Passion.
And it being something that was birthed. As I said, growing up, I grew up within that space, that frame, that environment. I said my father usually take me to different events that I had to be the camera person, and just going around. So it was birthed from that point in time, right? I remember even doing my very first wedding, videography in a wedding. And back then it was, I'm not sure, you're probably too young to remember this, but but they had the VHS tape, if you know the camera.
Cassette? The big cassette?
Right, but it was a mini one. So back then,
I'm not that young.
before camcord came in, right? They were actually the cameras that had the VHS tapes that you used to record, right? And you usually have to take that. So right now, when everything was digital, that was analog at that point in time. So you have to take that to an actual specialist for them to take the info from that, the data from that tape, and create it and put it on like a CD, right?
Oh,
so
maybe I am too young because I have no idea what to talk about.
So even from that point in time, that's just it's just been birthed from
So passion
then till now.
Yeah. So passion brought you to photography.
Right.
This one was a good one. Were there any changes to tax filing as an entrepreneur as opposed to a W-2 employee? Were there any tax changes? I don't know if you want me to answer that or you want to get it.
Yes, definitely. In terms of just how much you can deduct.
Listen, I can talk about this all day. That's why I asked him if he wants me to talk about it, because this is one thing this is a very good question. I really push having a side hustle, if you may, even if you're not full time. But America runs on businesses, okay? And the Constitution is set up, or the tax laws are set up in such a way that businesses or business owners thrive. And so if you own a business, you can get a lot of tax credits,
A lot of
a
write-offs.
lot of write-offs, a lot, right? Read my book. Read my book. But do you have anything you want to add to that?
But yeah, I mean, and one of the things is that, when it comes to entrepreneurship, is that you never stop learning. So even
Yes.
this question in itself,
Yes.
it's very wide, right? And very broad, meaning that the more you're in your business, and then as a note, ensure that when you're starting your business, you try to find or make sure you get three critical persons. I would say a mentor, an
Yes.
accountant, and a lawyer.
There we
Right?
go.
Those are three pivotal individuals that you want to ensure that you have in your business, that you have at your disposal, because those are going to be very critical when it comes to certain things. Where, as I say, where tax is concerned, just legal aspects of the tax is concerned. So you need a business lawyer also to kind of just help to take you through some of these things, and a CPA to kind of help guide you in understanding, some of what's legal and what is not legal, because you realize
Legal is the way to go.
how fast you can probably go down into a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And to keep your books in check.
Clean.
That is very pivotal, right? Do not mingle personal and business, right? That's probably one of the worst thing that you can ever do, especially when you're starting a business.
Yeah.
Don't commingle.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big no-no, because when it comes to tax write-off, you actually what you're actually doing when you commingle is that you pretty much, I would say, take away that opportunity to actually get more tax write-off when you commingle. Right? So you want to make sure that you are, your everything is pretty much in check, and balance as best as possible. Right? So you know that you're operating, in a legal way, and just with the overall ethics of just business in itself.
Yeah, no, this is very good. We have to wrap up soon, but yeah, no, I'm glad he says this. He has G&D Enterprises where it really helps entrepreneurs establish businesses. But I want to just these key points. You want to make sure you file your LLC, right? Legally, because that's the only way you can really claim these things on your taxes to get the deductions and all of that stuff. A lot of people are operating without and think that, it's okay. You have to get a bank account and a credit card. But you can check Mr. Entrepreneur here for more insight there. You want to add something?
Well, no. Yeah, so
Okay,
the
no, I
filing
thought
of
you were
the
gonna
LLC.
say.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. The filing of the LLC is key.
Yes.
You that's one thing that you will essentially validate just your legality of your business, right?
Yeah.
You cannot operate, especially within the state in itself, or you want to try to do certain things, or you want to try to for to get funding, grants, loans, anything of that nature. You want to ensure that you're just at that legal within that legal framework, that when essentially you go to the bank to do anything, or wherever, there's no issues, right? Because everything is going to be operated through your business, and even from just a legal aspect as well. Having an LLC also, there's a lot of you'd consider it to be a lot of legal legal things that will protect you when you have an LLC, right?
True.
So it simply means that when you're operating within an LLC, right, you're, as I said before, you're pretty much protected in terms of just your personal assets in itself versus the business, right? So there's two different things, right? So those are some of the things that we could talk about forever, but
we could, but let's Camille Ricketts has a question. How do I determine when is the right time to seek or welcome outside investment?
outside investment in the business.
Wow, that's a good
That's a very
question.
good question,
Yeah.
and that's something that, as the business grow, right, or as you grow with the business, those are some of the long term things that you pretty much try
Yeah.
to think about, because pretty much at the end of the day, you want your business to essentially be as profitable, where when you come before investors and you are pretty much pitching to them, you want to pretty much gain their interest
Mm-hmm.
in for them
Mm-hmm.
to pretty much invest in your business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it really takes just a period of time where you continue to ensure that the business continues to be profitable, because
Yeah.
every investor is going to want to ensure that your business is profitable. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
invest in
Mm-hmm.
something that is not going to make profit,
Yeah.
because that just defeats the purpose of them being an investor. So
Yeah.
it just takes, in terms of finding the right time, it just takes just you growing the business and realizing where the business is actually at, right? And you would eventually, I would say, you'd eventually see the point in which you can then know, reach out to outside investors,
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out, in terms of the equity that they can essentially gain from your
Mm-hmm.
business, because
Mm-hmm.
that's also one of the key things that you want to take into consideration, right? Because at the end of the day, you still want to make sure that
You own it.
your own, right?
Yeah.
And it's both mutual and mutual end. So it takes just a level of assessment,
Yeah.
but then just watching the business grow and having just the plans of where you want it to grow to attract investors, in whatever industry is it that your business is pretty much in.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And I think also, if I might add, if let's say you have a type of software or something that you're trying to develop with your business, and you see the trajectory of the long-term profits of it, and you have the numbers that you can present to investors, and maybe the cost, right, of developing that software is a little bit stretched, and you want to get raise funds or raise money, you can think about an investor as well. But you have to be prepared to give up a portion of your company, right? But
Yeah.
another, we can go all day, but let's
Yeah,
see.
that's a
We have
that's
to
a
wrap up
another day.
soon.
Very soon.
Somebody says, will Shana be offering tax services in the future? Is who this? Is who is looking in the peripherals in the crystal ball? Yes, it might be in the future, but we're gonna table that for now. But you can look out. Yes, yes, and that's something I'm very passionate about. So we're gonna wrap up on Ask Maybe. We had quite a bit of questions here for you, sir. Here, if you have any secrets, right? Any secrets that you can share with somebody who wants to do, let's say, photography, or do you want to say entrepreneurship?
I pretty much can say both.
Yeah, any secrets that you'd share with them to be successful?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a secret, but it's just
We
more.
want the secret.
But it's not a secret, because the thing about it, you have to basically apply yourself. That's where
Okay.
it's coming from.
Oh, apply yourself.
It's not a secret to say it's hidden somewhere, so to
Oh,
speak.
okay.
But it's you applying yourself to what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of people look at photography as they probably just look at photography as just taking pictures and that is it, right? But understanding the business aspect of it and how and the potential that it has, right? Then they kind of limit how far it can essentially go,
Mm,
right? So in going into entrepreneurship or into photography in itself,
mm-hmm.
right? You have to pretty much just put yourself in a frame of mind that you're just going to consistently apply yourself
Mm,
and consistently find different ways in which your business can consistently be profitable,
yeah.
right, and scalable,
Mm,
right? Because that is how business grow. That is how businesses become, multi-million and billion-dollar business. There are different aspects that they look at, different trajectories, different things that they essentially look at
mm-hmm.
to determine that their business can essentially grow year over year,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and continue to be can continue to be listed in different investors continue to be attracted to them over and over. So again, it's just applying yourself. You can't become complacent when you're in a business. If you're doing a business, you do it and you do it properly. Don't shortcut it. Don't rush it. Right? It's something that it does takes time, but it takes the time that you would invest in it, right? In essentially ensuring that you're applying yourself on a day-to-day basis. Not just some days you may feel like, all right, especially being an entrepreneur, because it's a very tedious road. I'm not going to lie. It's a challenging road, right? But again, as I stated earlier, that it's something that allows you to think outside of the box, right? When you come upon any challenges in life, right, in general, it allows you to think outside of the box. It allows you to put yourself in a frame of mind to say, how can I get this done? Right? Not necessarily just looking at it and hoping for the best, right, and praying, right? And well, that is good, because one of the key things that I most important thing is just the amount of faith that I put in my business, and committing it to God, right, and ensuring that He's the one essentially that's pretty much just pushing, or He's the one that's propelling my business to where it is to even this very day, right? So it's just the application that you have to make, right, and being
consistency,
right, in it, right? Just be consistent in it, and things will just continue to move forward. Take risks, right? Don't be afraid of taking risks.
In
Don't
the
be
business,
afraid.
take risk in the business.
You have to take risk in business. If you don't take risk in business, the business is not going to grow. Risk is one of the fundamental components of your business growing. If you don't take risk, your business is going to stay at the same place, because you're just operating in just kind of fearful, in a sense, or just a bit timid. I give a quick example. I remember there was a event that was taking place here in Stonecrest, and I saw the event online, and I said to myself that I'm just going to go to this event, and it was the event that was the mayor of Stonecrest was hosting, right? And I said to myself that I'm just going to go. But on the calendar, or on the invite, it basically was saying invite only, and if you're in the media, you'd have to basically be a part of an approved media. So I said that, you know what, I'm just going to go in there, right? and pretend like I own the place.
Mr. President coming through.
I pretend like I own the place. So I just said, you know what, I prayed and said, you know what, God, just go with me. And when I was actually going there, right, approaching the actual building, right, there was just a whole bunch of police escorts all over the place. I was like, wow, this is a big thing. So I was like, you know what, I just suck it up, take a deep breath, and right. And then I just decided that, all right, I'm just gonna go. So I went in there, went in with my gears, my camera gears and everything, went to the front desk, the reception and everything, went through police check and everything, and they were asking me, who are you with? So I'm like, I was like, yeah, I'm with PWG Lens. I just pointed to the hat, and I was like, and I'm with PWG Lens.
Oh goodness.
And they're like, okay. So then they went to check with their organizer and calling all different type of people to figure out who is this person and all of that.
The president.
Right. And then they called the actual photographer that was contracted for the event and was asking him if he knew me. And it was long and short of it was the fact that when the actual photographer actually came, he just introduced himself, and then he asked if I'm hearing anybody. I said no, I'm just by myself. And he said, all right, just shadow under me. And that's essentially how favor. Honestly, favor. I just, as I said, I just took that risk. I just made that step, that leap of faith, to say, okay, I'm just going to go in there. And believe it or not, that opened doors for other opportunities just from going there. In basically having to, again, it was a press conference that the mayor was hosting, and just doing other projects that was within that same scope, right, with the mayor herself. So again, it just takes you just basically making those risks. You can't, there's nothing that's going to happen with you just basically just sitting and hoping that things will happen. I read a book, and it says that in terms of to build clients. Clients aren't necessarily going to come to you. Clients aren't going to say to you, okay, or you can sit and wait for a phone call. Sometimes you have to basically go out there and find the clients.
Come on.
Right? Because they're not just going to you can't just sit and wait, or wait for an email, or wait for a phone call, right? For you to get clients. You have to go out there and make the clients, right? Meet the clients where they are, do what others will not do.
That's
right?
true.
That is what's going to differentiate you and distinguish you from, just other entrepreneurs, other individuals that are out there, within the same industry that you are. So don't be afraid to take risk. Constantly learn. Don't be afraid to learn. You're always learning. As you grow, the business grow. The business will always grow once you grow. And that goes to just your lifestyle. Find a lifestyle that you want to create and stick to it, right? It also means, finding ways to clear your mind, because to be an entrepreneur, your mind has to be, your frame of mind has to be at a point where it's completely clear, it's completely level, right? And you can essentially, be intuitive, or be innovative, creative. Because one key thing for me is that, I find that in working out. So every time I work out, or most times when I work out, that's essentially when I get most of my ideas, or most of the things that, because it
About the business?
About the business.
Oh, okay.
Because it clears your mind. It helps you to be in a frame of mind that you can think clearly.
Okay.
Right? So when I go on a run, when I when I go to the gym or anything like that, I'm thinking, and in between sets, I'm thinking clearly, right? So you create a certain lifestyle that helps you, because that's going to help you grow and help you to scale a business. So there's so many different variables that you have to take into consideration, when essentially, just kind of looking at entrepreneur, and pretty much, just your overall business in itself. But yes, those are some of the key things. Those are some of the key things that I'd say, again, I know we don't have much time.
Mr. President has to go.
Much time. And also one other thing, your network is your net worth.
Come on now.
Right? Network, continue to network. Use those around you. Use all the people that you're around you. When I started, the business, when I started my business and all other business, I had to use my network to get to my net worth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I didn't tap into them, there was nobody that was going to refer my business to anybody else. I had to use who was around me. So don't be afraid to send it to, your auntie, your uncle, your brother, your sister, whoever it may be.
Strangers.
Right? It doesn't matter. But your network, use your network to your advantage, because they are the one that's going to help your business essentially to grow. They are the one that's going to say, hey, this, so and so just took my picture. Even if they probably didn't even, you didn't even do anything for them, sell them a product or anything like that, right?
Pro bono.
Because the fact that they know what you do and they stumble upon somebody that need a service, right? They are going to easily refer, to them.
Yeah.
So use your network, use those around you. Don't be afraid to use pretty much those that can definitely help to leverage your business and to build and to help to build it and to scale it to where it pretty much needs to be. So and then one last thing we didn't talk about, Grand Coffee House.
He would not be a businessman if he wasn't selling something on the
which I want to encourage you today to go on our website grandcoffeehouse.com and get your Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee.
Yes.
Right, the best coffee that you can ever get your hands on.
Yes.
Right. And not only that, we're just launching for this. For everybody know Mother's Day is coming up, right?
Oh.
So for Mother's Day, right, we're having a bundle Mother's Day deal, right? It is up right now. It is up right now on our website, grandcoffeehouse.com.
Okay.
Right? So you get one, you infused dark chocolate, very good, right? Coffee, as a matter of fact, right? Additionally, a 4-ounce, right? Jablum roasted and ground coffee. Additionally, which I'm sure a lot of people would want, especially for mommy, Jamaica Blue Mountain rum cake. Yeah? Jamaica Blue Mountain rum cake.
This is for the Caribbean folks.
So if you want to get your hand on this bundle, please head over to grandcoffeehouse.com. Right? It is up. It was just The link just came up today. So get your hands on that bundle,
Yes.
right? And get mommy a very
Mother's Day is
Mother's
coming up.
Day
Okay.
coffee worth
Bundle.
gift.
Okay.
Right? She's going to love it.
All right. So Mr. Grant has to go. I'll wrap up while he leaves, but I just want to say thank you for stopping by and for sharing a wealth of knowledge. He has to run now. So
Yes, so let me just answer that last question. It says, how important does a mentor play in the success of a business, and how do you find the best mentor to guide you?
Yeah.
It's very important. If that's what for me, that's what helped me, right? That's how I started to find and seek a mentor, right? And the importance of having and keeping one is very key and very fundamental. And in terms of, say for example, just finding one, I just look around, I'd say, to those who are under your nose, because sometimes people are just under our nose, right, and we don't necessarily see them, right? And it's just for us to use them or to find them or to engage them, for them to pretty much help us in that realm. So definitely, they're pivotal role to your success. You can, mind you can definitely move forward without a mentor, but it takes even more work, right? But having one is I believe it's very important, right? But going to the application part again, if you're doing it on your own without a mentor, it just simply means that you have to do I would say 90% more work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Than you would probably even thought, right? Which is not bad, because you're learning, right? And then when you're learning, you're able to then know, impart knowledge onto those that even you bring on your team, which is key, right? So hopefully that answered that question. And yeah, definitely have to run.
We have to grab the kids. All right, so he's gonna go. So I'll just close out. And very great interview. He dropped really some great knowledge, and I can also attest you can just support.
Yes, I remember the coffee. The it's online, as I said right now, grandcoffeehouse.com.
Yes, it's running across the screen, grandcoffeehouse.com.
So it was a pleasure, and I hope your listeners and everybody had the opportunity to gain as much knowledge as possible.
Yes, we had quite a bit of engagement here, sir.
All right, that's good. All right. All right.
So yes, so just to wrap up as he goes, thank you all for tuning in. And I can also attest to a mentor. I remember last year I had a mentor, and actually I was in a mentorship group, and my business tripled for the year. Okay, well, actually more than tripled. So it's important to have a mentor, and when you're seeking a mentor, you want to find somebody who is in the path or the trajectory that you are trying to go to, right? So if you want to, let's say, be just an awesome photographer, and you want to run a big company, you find somebody who's running a big company and you say, hey, can you guide me? Or you can just follow them on Instagram, right? Stuff like that will help. But just want to thank you guys for tuning in. He dropped quite a bit of knowledge today. Hopefully it helped you. Entrepreneurship is not for the weak. As he mentioned, you have to be very consistent at it, even in the months that you're not getting the result that you need. And so he did say about 90% of entrepreneurs or business fail in the first 10 years, and maybe 80% of them fail in the first 5 years. So if you do plan to start a business or to go full-time, you want to make sure that you are going in for the long haul. All right, so I don't see any more questions here. I can give some shout out. I appreciate that. We just answered Jordan's question. I don't think we missed anybody's questions. I did see Kamir had a joke, man, really, with PWG Lens. You have to be confident in business. Yes, this is so good. We got a thumbs up. Powerful favor, yes. You have to give your business to God, because sometimes you need people in the room speaking on your behalf, and sometimes it's just God. Sometimes, like even for my own business, it's really the power of God that really moves. One secret that I will drop, and maybe I'll drop it, I'll also be interviewing another digital content creator, right? He talked about tapping into your network. And so I am tapping into my network. And some of you may already know Dr. Shan MD, That's my sister. She has monetized all social media platforms. And I watched her monetize YouTube in like 2 weeks. Okay. And so we're going to bring her on Sunday. Sunday, we're going to bring her on. So make sure you tune in because we want to hear the secret, especially if you want to be a part-time entrepreneur. So she actually has a full-time job. She is a surgeon, but she's also a digital content creator. And so we're going to be discussing that balance because we know, I can tell you from experience, it's not easy balancing your regular job with entrepreneurship. So we're going to dive in there, but please feel free to stay tuned. Be glued on Sunday. You don't have anything to do really, right? It's going to be Sunday evening after church and all that good stuff. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you found it insightful. I can stay all day. I see you guys are still here. Any questions? I don't know. We'll just wrap it up. We'll just quit while we're ahead. All right, so we hope to see you all on Sunday when we're talking to Dr. Shan, MD. You can look her up on TikTok, Instagram, or now YouTube. She's monetized everything. So thank you again for tuning in, and you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye now.